Hi, and welcome to my channel. In this video, I am replacing the transmission mount on a 2015 S550. This is the W222 model. This applies to 2014 to 2016, only 4MATIC version of S550. Also, there's one other car, C300, 2015, I believe. That takes this type of transmission mount. So this is the transmission paneling. There are a number of 8mm bolts that you would have to remove. Now the reason I'm doing this job is because at right about 42, I would say 37 to 47 miles per hour, the car sometimes when the engine is not warmed up enough, or transmission is not warmed up enough, it's the vibration right underneath where the gear is, the transmission is very palpable. It's you can feel it, and then if the transmission is warm, that doesn't happen. So I've narrowed it down to this, and so if you feel vibrations in low speed, I would say between 35 and 45 miles per hour, and you haven't replaced your transmission mount for a while, then it's worth checking it and replacing it. But the transmission mounts, they're under a lot of pressure. There are two types of these mounts. The one that were used by Mercedes in many of the S classes prior to this model, and then this is a new version of it. This bracket, this is the paneling bracket, where the panel goes to the car. The car is a New York car, and so quite a bit of rust in some areas. So the bolt just broke on the right side. And so I'll have to figure out how to. The good thing is that there are two other places that the panel gets tied to in front of that, so it shouldn't be a big of an issue. But if you don't have a lift, then you want to with some piece of wood, as you see here, just support the weight of the transmission on the jack. So I have a lift, but if you have a jack and jack stance, then you want to jack up the car using the front jack point, the center jack point, and lift up the front of the car, the two front wheels, and chuck the rear wheels. So this can be very easily done without the lift. But these are the 5 nuts that have to be removed that holds the transmission mount against this crossmember. This big heavy black piece is called the crossmember. It's tied to the car with 6 18mm bolts, which I will remove in a minute. But so at this point, just support the transmission, and then once you have removed the 5 nuts, then you want to raise the transmission by about 10mm or a quarter of an inch or something. Just lift it up a little bit, and then there's this exhaust mount or bracket towards the rear of the car, held by two 13mm bolts that would have to also be removed. because it's connected to the cross member. And I'll have the torque values for all of the bolts and nuts I'm removing in the video, embedded in the video or in the description. So once you have separated the exhaust bracket, then it's time to remove these 18 millimeter bolts. In the Mercedes workshop manual explicitly states that you should not use an impact gun to remove these tight tolerances, that it would wear out the threads. So that's what I'm doing until the very end. I'm loosening them by hand, and then at the very end I will remove them with an impact gun. But so depending on when was the last time you have removed these, they could be quite tight. So you wanna move the cross member. Just make sure that it's not holding the weight of the transmission on top of it, that your jack or whatever implement you're using to support the transmission, that it is holding its weight before you remove all the 6 bolts. And once you do that, it will reveal the transmission mount, which is this thing here. It's held by 4 bolts. These are E12 bolts. So you'll need E sockets, E12 socket. I mean, to work on these cars, you'll need metric sockets. It's and E sockets and torque sockets and all kinds of tools. So remove the 4 bolts and then compare, of course, old to new. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of a gap. The one on the right is new on the 2 sets, and in the back also, as you can see, the distances. So and then installation is just the reverse of the installation. So starting with replacing the transmission mount itself. And you want to keep the transmission supported until you have tightened the cross member back to the body of the car. So cars in colder climates, when you before you tighten any of the bolts, make sure, as I'm doing here, I'm applying a thin coating of copper grease to the bolts and nuts, so that they can come off easier next time. Now with all of these bolts, you wanna at the very beginning, you wanna tighten everything by hand, so that you're not cross-threading anything. Now these 6 18 millimeter bolts, like I said before, you wanna tighten them by hand. Don't use an impact gun. And you want to make sure that the way you can see it's aligned, as you can, that the five bolts from the transmission mount, the new transmission mount, kind of come out of those 5 holes. So that sort of positions it. So you can remove the transmission mount at this, I mean the support at this point. You can see the copper grease, that's not rust on the bolts. The nuts are still, I'm reusing the nuts. I didn't have any new ones, but next time I'll probably replace those. And then torque these. It's the same value, torque value, I believe 30 Newton meters for these 5 and the 4 bolts of the transmission mount. The Crossmember is 80 Newton meters. And these 2 bolts, even though they're also 13 millimeters, the manual says they're 20 Newton meters. So what I ended up with the one that broke off, I just put it, sort of sandwiched it between the heat shield and the body, as you can see there, the paneling mounting bracket. On the left side, I tightened it, and that's it. I hope you liked this video, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.